Good morning, everyone. Can someone tell me whether my voice is clear and is this screen clearly visible to all of you? Okay, thank you. So today we will be doing 18th and 19th January 2024 current affairs. Okay, so a lot of on on front it seems that there are a lot of news with related to ESI and finance, but since throughout various sessions we are actually understanding a lot of different concepts, so understanding these things would be a little bit difficult for you. ठीक है, तो आसान सी करंट अफेयर्स है. Let's finish them. So this first news is about Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority simplifying the regulation regarding point of presence. ठीक है, so in order to understand this news, we need to understand what point of presence is, and we also need to be aware about what regulations were there previously and what PFRDA has simplified when it is talking about the new regulations right now. Okay, so the point of presence, it's like that PFRDA, as all of you know, the flagship scheme NPS is there. Okay, but if you want to expand this NPS to different subscribers to India, how can you do this? You can opt for banks, you can opt for NBFCs, you can opt for RRBs or other different type of agencies that can deliver your NPS product to various customers of India. So that means when the customers are dealing, the PFRDA is not dealing directly, they are dealing via these point of presence that are on ground providing services to customers. So these are the entities which we call point of presence. Okay. Now there were various regulations regarding point of presence previously. For example, that in order to become a point of presence, you had to register yourself with PFRDA. Then only you will be receiving permission to provide NPS facilities. But the conditions or the compliances were in such a complex manner that previously, for example, as all of you know, that most of the big banks, they have numerous amount of branches all over India. The previous compliances told about this thing that every branch, be it let's take Delhi as an example. Okay, so in Delhi there will be a numerous branch of SBI, there will be numerous branch of HDFC. So every branch has to register itself onto the PFRDA platform in order to get the license regarding deploying this NPS services. So that was the previous case scenario with respect to regulations regarding POPs. So what PFRDA thought that obviously this is a lot more cumbersome for even PFRDA to approve कि हर ब्रांच से रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर्म आ रहा है, हर ब्रांच को अप्रूव करना है. As all of you know that even HDFC, if you talk about, can you tell me a rough idea that how many branches does HDFC have all over India? Any rough idea? What do you think? It is not 700, it is close to 8,000 branches. तो एक बड़ी बैंक के इतने branches हैं, ठीक है? So you can imagine if NPS have to be deployed in all of these branches, how many registration forms will come to PFRDA as a single regulator. and how much work PFRDA will be having with respect to, checking whether the registration form is, proper or not, if there are any other thing that needs to be added on. So PFRDA came up with the simplified regulation. This regulation says these many things. So let's see the news now. So as you can see, this pension fund regulation notified a pension, point of presence regulation 2023, simplifying the registration process. What are the changes? Banks and non-banks can act as POP to onboard NPS subscribers. Now they require only single registration for NPS. Only single registration instead of the multiple registration that they used to do previously. Okay? So first understand this, that branch-wise registration that were used to happen previously, that has been replaced by a single registration for a single bank or NBFC. That if I am a SBI bank, I have a lot of branches, I can just go to PFRDA, register the whole bank in itself in one single registration. And then I can deploy the NPS services to any branches that are present all over India. So this is one such simplification under this regulation. Okay. Then we also have another regulation. It says that these banks and non-banks can operate with just one branch with wider digital presence. So what they are saying, see, if you do not want to, put a single employee in every branch related to specifically providing NPS services, then you can have an option, just open a branch, okay, and establish a whole digital system that can provide to every branch, okay, or every branch account holders the services of NPS in a digital manner. एक ब्रांच में खोल लो, एक ब्रांच में आप ऑफिस बिठा लो, ठीक है, और अपने ऑल ओवर इंडिया में जितने भी ब्रांचेस हैं वहां से डिजिटली लोगों को सब्सक्रिप्शन दिला के उनका डेटा मंगा के यहाँ उनका अकाउंट या जितने भी सर्विसेज आपके पेपर वर्क है, यू कैन डू फ्रॉम ओनली वन सिंगल ब्रांच. सो दिस इज अनदर बिगेस्ट एस्पेक्ट दैट द PFRDA allows right now. ठीक है. And last thing, the timeline for disposing of applications have been reduced from 60 days to 30 days. If a potential subscriber is coming for you to register themselves related to NPS, that will be reduced from 60 to 30 days. So these three things you need to understand and you need to remember or you need to revise, because this is anyways a regulatory body circular type of news that is important for you. ठीक है, इसको याद कर लेना, ये तीन major changes हैं. These are the things that you need to remember. ठीक है, point of presence I've already told you. These are entities appointed by PFRDA to provide services to all citizens of India to open and operate their NPS account. Any confusion to anyone in this news? Chalo. Let's move on to the next news. So as you can see, the oil and gas import have declined to $89.9 billion or close to $90 billion. So this is with respect to value we are talking about. So in terms of value, the latest data with respect to energy imports, which constitutes the majority aspect of our imports, and it's also an essential import. Okay, so the news says that the value of imports have declined. But is it true that the actual, actually is it declined or what? What could be the probable reason that you can think of that this decline is registered? क्या हम लोगों की डिमांड कम हो गई? Tell me. अचानक से एक साल में क्रूड ऑयल की डिमांड कम हो गई. Is it that the case? Anyone? What do you think would have been the case that we have registered a decline in energy imports? या हमने अचानक से प्रोडक्शन बहुत बढ़ा दिया? alternate source of energy, geographical, geopolitical tension, use of EV increased. But all those things, does it, अगर ऐसा होता तो basically it is, you know, a lot more decline that is registered. अगर इतना decline on ground, if it would have been happened ना, this would have become a national news that petrol नहीं है, gasoline नहीं है, inflation बढ़ गया, inflation बढ़ चुका होता, fuel inflation would have been there. So do you really think? Or shifting towards green energy, I can understand, but that's a long-term phenomena that will be there. It will not change. What if I tell you the quantity of import hasn't changed? The quantity is still the same or even a marginally higher. See this. In the same period, that means April to December, in the previous financial year, the quantity imported was 172.3 million tons. And in this financial year, the quantity imported is 172.9 million ton crude oil. तो यार क्वांटिटी तो सेम ही यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं. अगर क्वांटिटी सेम है तो हाउ कम द वैल्यू इज डिक्लाइंड? Naturally the price. So only because of crude oil prices that declined in this financial year, we registered a net import decline of oil energy. So Murugasan, you can just write a mail on info@crackgradeb.com. Your issue will be resolved. Okay? So this is what the data tells you that, you know, because of the fall in energy prices, we registered an import decline to $89.9 billion. Okay? And the fall in prices from 83.76 to 77.85 per barrel. Next, the sugar output in this financial year has declined by 7%. So as you can see, the sugar season starts from October 1, 2023. Okay, if you compare the previous case scenario, okay, in the same period, the product is in this year declined by 7%. तो इसमें important केवल इतना है that you remember the top producing states of sugarcane, because this data anyways will continue to change, and as I've already told you, the annual data as well as the data within 2 months of your exam, if it is a monthly data, okay? These two aspects are important for you to remember. Okay, but conceptual understanding or these things which do not change, they are inevitably anyways important. So you can see Uttar Pradesh, top producer, then Maharashtra, Karnataka. Okay, these are the top 3 sugarcane producing states. Okay. Next, HDFC Bank says that they will be opening 1,000 branches in 2024. So you can imagine how much branches it must already have. Yeah? So the bank had opened 1,481 branches in previous year. Okay, and the next year, that means this year, they are planning to open 1,000 more branches. Next news. So with respect to only EPFO, okay, this is a agency specific news. So the EPFO says that Aadhaar is no longer the proof of date of birth. Okay, so don't confuse it with every agency. Just focus on that only EPFO has removed Aadhaar from the list of acceptable documents as proof of date of birth. So if I ask you what are usually the proof of date of birth, all of you usually know. What do you think are the proof of date of birth? First, obviously, is your birth registration, and other which usually is used is your class 10th certificate. है ना? So EPFO says that Aadhaar will no longer be utilized for your date of birth. ठीक है? And with respect to this PDF, you can get this PDF within the course itself. We have current affairs course as well as RBI course. You can get the PDF over there. Next, RBI's Economic Activity Index showcased Q3 GDP at 7%. Okay? So first of all, understand this economic activity index is released by, tells you about the status of the economy, and is released or published by RBI every month. ठीक है? तो frequency इसकी याद कर लो, that it is released or it publishes data monthly. ठीक है? It utilizes 27 indicators to come up with the projections that it is coming up. ठीक है? So remember this monthly. Remember that it utilizes 27 indicators of the economy. Indicators वही सारे IIP, and purchasing managers index, all those indicators, and it is released by RBI. And it is talking about Q3 of financial year 23-24 GDP. It says the growth rate of Q3 will be 7%. Okay, so this is the latest data. But again, it will keep on changing, and we'll primarily focus on whenever the data for the whole financial year will come, and we'll just primarily focus upon those data because those can directly come into the examination. Next, important news. National Stock Exchange remains world largest future and options market for 5th straight year. And this is released by Futures Industry Association. So this, our National Stock Exchange, is world's largest F&O market in terms of number of contracts traded. So F&O market deals with derivatives. How many of you know about derivatives? So a derivative is a contract that derives its value, through an underlying asset. And this asset can be stock, asset can be index, asset can be commodity, etc. ठीक है? तो बेसिकली आपने इससे सुना होगा ऑप्शन, उसमें भी पुट ऑप्शन होता है, कॉल ऑप्शन, then you also have futures, forwards. ठीक है? So NSE future and option market deals with trading of derivatives. Okay, and because this NSE on National Stock Exchange, the number of trades that happen is highest amongst the world. So that's why it is at the top of world's largest F&O market for the 5th straight year. Okay? And in terms of equity segment, that means stocks, only stocks in particular, it is ranked 3rd in the whole world. Okay? Next is State Bank of India raised 5,000 crores at 8.34% via bonds. And what type of bonds? Additional Tier 1 bond, which is Basel III compliant. ठीक है? तो पहले तो आप न्यूज़ देख लो that this State Bank of India has issued these bonds at this coupon rate or interest rate. Okay, and raised 5,000 crore rupees via debt. Okay? But now let's understand what exactly this 81 bonds are, or how does it impact State Bank of India's capital. So all of you must have heard about this capital adequacy ratio, in which you talks about tier 1, tier 2 capital, and then there is also, when you go into tier 1, there is additional tier 1 capital. Okay? And this capital is raised by additional tier 1 bonds. So what are the various features associated with this additional tier 1 bonds? So these bonds, unlike other bonds, okay, do not have set maturity. That's why they are also known as perpetual bonds. Usually bonds में ऐसा होता है ना कि कोई भी bond अगर issue किया किसी भी entity ने, so that entity is saying to you, give me 1,000 rupees, okay, I will return back this 1,000 rupees after 10 years to you with interest on it, which is the interest rate mentioned on the bond. But what if I say you, give me 5,000 crore rupees, okay, and I will give you 8% return every year, but there is no maturity. अब मैं लौटाऊंगा कब, इसकी कोई मैं अभी गारंटी नहीं दे सकता. आप मांगोगे तब मैं लौटा दूंगा, लेकिन there is no maturity from my end that it will be returning back to you. So this is what additional tier 1 capital bonds are. है ना? So they do not have set maturity on its own, but whenever they are redeemed, or whenever the holder of these bonds, whenever they call, these bonds can be redeemed. मतलब जिसके पास ये बॉन्ड है वो जब भी कहेगा वो बॉन्ड रिडीम हो जाएंगे. ठीक है? बट इनकी कोई सेट मेच्योरिटी डेट नहीं है. So when any bond do not have set maturity, so tell me, is it less risky or more risky? पप्पू से लेस रिस्की. पप्पू आप ले लोगे? अब अगर मैं बोलूं कि क्या कहते हैं बॉन्ड की कोई वो नहीं है, यस मोर रिस्की. ठीक है? तो मोर रिस्की, whenever the bonds are more risky, the natural question comes that why should I take? ठीक है? Then if you give higher interest rate compared to all other competitor bonds, so as you can see in the news you saw that it is providing you 8.34 interest rate. ठीक है? But if you go and compare this bond into similar type of normal bonds, these bonds will be giving you 6 to 7%. तो 1% ज़्यादा है. And when you give bonds of 5,000 crore, so 1% will become what? 50 crores. ठीक है? So that is a huge amount in additional profit that I'm talking about. ठीक है? So this is what is an incentive, that obviously that you are getting higher returns. And another incentive is that if some rating agency gives you good rating, तो at least you will be rest assured कि चलो interest rate भी ज़्यादा मिल रहा है और rate of chances of default is little bit low. So that's why investors do put in. And अगर SBI निकाल रहा है तो anyone can take this bond, because as all of you know, SBI in itself is a systematically important bank. ठीक है? कोई ना कोई नहीं तो सरकार तो इसके recapitalization कर ही देगी, है ना? Anyways, RBI will save this bank, or it's a very huge bank. The default chances are very much low, so you will be keep on reaping the benefits of this higher interest rate. ठीक है? But how does this additional tier 1 capital bond help SBI? तो जब भी फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस आएगी ना, these bonds will be written off first. और रिटर्न ऑफ का क्या मतलब होता है कि अब नहीं मिलेगा आपको पैसा. We are utilizing all the money that we have raised from 81 bonds. ठीक है, and they will utilize this money first raised via 81 bonds, then they will go into tier 1 and tier 2 capital जो उनके रिजर्व्स होते हैं. ठीक है, so as you can see in this case also SBI raised 5,000 crores, 8.34%, and even CRISIL and ICRA have rated these bonds AA plus with stable outlook. ठीक है, and the call option has been provided after 10 years. ठीक है, that means 10 साल तक तो आप मांग ही नहीं सकते, 10 साल के बाद आप मांग सकते हो, बट मेच्योरिटी मेरे एंड से नहीं है, वो आप मांगोगे तब मिल जाएगा. बट जनरल पब्लिक में लेगा कौन यार इतना बड़ा? किस जनरल पब्लिक के बंदे के पास 3,000 करोड़ रुपए? So these are usually for institutional investors. मतलब it's like you are asking SBI अब जनरल पब्लिक से पैसा ले रही है, मतलब अगर वो उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके डिबेंचर्स में कन्वर्ट कर दे, बट दैट इज अ ह्यूज कंप्लायंस इशू, तो व्हाई वुड एनी इंस्टीट्यूशन वुड लाइक टू डू दिस. ठीक है, चलो लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट न्यूज. उत्तर प्रदेश गवर्नमेंट हाइक शुगर केन स्टेट एडवाइज्ड प्राइस बाय 20 रुपीज पर क्विंटल. तो इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ एमएसपी यूजुअली वर्क्स, ठीक है, तो कैन यू टेल मी इन टर्म्स ऑफ, मतलब इन सिमिलर नेचर ऑफ एमएसपी शुगर केन के लिए कौन सी प्राइस होती है? व्हाट इज द प्राइस दैट इज प्रोवाइडेड टू शुगर केन फार्मर्स फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग शुगर केन? Yes, correct. FRP. Full form? What is the full form? The full form is fair remunerative price. ठीक है? So just like how center provides MSP for various crops, similarly center also provides FRP for sugarcane specifically. ठीक है, तो ये तो सेंटर की तरफ से प्रोड्यूस को सेल करने के लिए whatever price you will be getting. But apart from center, you also get state advised prices, SAPs, declared by every state government in which the sugarcane farming is happening. ठीक है, तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल उत्तर प्रदेश, फॉर एग्जाम्पल महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटका, तो these states also releases these SAPs. And generally, it's not a thumb rule, generally the SAPs are higher than FRP. ठीक है, तो बेसिकली स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हेल्पिंग दीज फार्मर्स. और फार्मर्स करते क्या है, तो फार्मर्स, sugarcane farmers will go to sugar mills. So state government order these sugar mills to provide SAP to these farmers. ठीक है, and in return these sugar mills will be getting the money from state government. So this is the mechanism to provide the money. ठीक है, so in UP it says that the price has been increased by 20 rupees per quintal. So the price was 350 for early variety, because as all of you know that sugarcane, the more time it passes after harvest, the less sugar content it contains. ठीक है, तो early variety is sold at a higher rate. Its price has been increased by 20 rupees, so it's right now at 370. And the common variety, the price from 340 to 360. ठीक है, next. So the Advertising Standard Council of India has finalized rule to prevent greenwashing in ads. So this is a very key term that has been running in various examinations. Even civil services examination asked about this, what exactly is greenwashing. So I hope all of you must have heard about this word brainwashing. Brainwashing is something, it has a connotation related to manipulation kind of thing. So treat greenwashing in that sense. It's like manipulating in terms of environmental advertisement. So all of you must have heard about a lot of different type of companies telling that their products are eco-friendly, that their products are environmentally friendly, that whatever operations that they are doing, they are environmentally friendly operations, and their products will in future will become much more environmentally friendly compared to other. But a lot of times it has been observed that those claims of being environmentally friendly, okay, they are nothing but hoax. That means lie, that they are not backed by facts. So this is what we call greenwashing. Okay? It is like manipulating or manipulative advertisement of in context of environmental aspects. Okay? So Advertisement Council of India says that from February 15, whoever is claiming that we are environmentally friendly, our products are eco-friendly, our operations are planet friendly and sustainable, all those claims must be backed by substantiate or must be backed by robust data from credible associations. ठीक है, मतलब एविडेंस के साथ बोलिए, ऐसे रैंडमली मत बोलिए, फिर तो हर कोई बोलने लग जाए कि हमारा एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली है, फिर सच कैसे पता लगे. ठीक है. So this is what the Advertising Standard Council of India has said, that from February 15th every claim must be backed by a evidence. ठीक है. और उन्होंने ये भी बोल दिया कि नीचे डिस्क्लेमर डाल के भी आप इसको रिफ्यूट नहीं कर सकते, कि ऊपर बोल दो एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली, नीचे एक छोटा सा डिस्क्लेमर डाल दो, that all investments are subjected to market risk. ठीक है. So it is like that only. Next, NRI deposit flows doubled to $7.3 billion in April to November 2023. ठीक है. So what does this tell you? Obviously, NRIs deposit money in Indian banks into what type of accounts? Can anybody tell? What do we call such type of accounts in which NRI put money into Indian banks? Anyone? Yes, FCNR accounts. Foreign currency non-resident accounts. Okay. So this news is about that only. Okay. In the same period, previously there was only $3.63 billion, but it has been doubled to $7.3 billion in 1 year. Okay. So since it's a dynamic data, nothing to worry about, but just a little bit static here won't do anything harm. So tell me FCNR accounts, okay, or this putting money into FCNR accounts, does they come under capital account transaction or current account transaction? Everyone. बहुत बढ़िया. Good. They come under capital account. And why do you think under capital account? Yes, because there is an exchange of liability. Good. Let's move on to the next news. The Reserve Bank of India net sells $1.9 billion in November in the domestic foreign exchange spot market in November. So basically, as all of you know, in domestic spot market, RBI does what? It either buy or sell rupee, or it either buy or sell dollar, by exchanging dollar, exchanging rupee. Same thing. Okay? So RBI must have bought dollars, let's say 2 billion, and RBI must have sold dollars worth $3.9 billion. तो net कितना हो गया? Net sell, if you eliminate or minus it, $1.9 billion. ठीक है? Now, what could be the probable reason? Why does RBI usually sell dollars in forex market? Anyone? To maintain exchange rate stable. ठीक है? Rupee value intact. तो tell me in terms of appreciation and depreciation. ये तो रुपी वैल्यू को ऊपर करने के लिए, नीचे करने के लिए, व्हाट? यस, ठीक है. Whenever RBI is selling dollars and buying rupees, that means they are increasing the supply of dollars, and whenever the supply of dollars are increased, that means its value declines against rupee. That means dollar depreciates and rupee appreciates. ठीक है? और RBI usually does this. Even if you read previous RBI governor, books, for example, D. Subbarao has written a book, and in that book he explained that the RBI's task is not to, alter the exchange rate. They just want to make sure that there is no huge volatility in exchange rates. So basically, the main task of RBI is like that. Right now, $1 is 80 rupees. Okay? And let's say in 1 month, this dollar becomes 90 rupees. This is what RBI do not want. RBI says, we are not against dollar going to 90 rupees, but we want this to happen not in 1 month, but let's say 1 year. Okay? So we will make sure that this decline is not sudden, but in a glided manner. And then only RBI does this foreign exchange transactions, for example, selling dollar to make sure that rupee do not depreciates in a sudden manner. Okay? So I hope you understand what RBI's strategy is with respect to forex transactions. So that book name is Who Moved My Interest Rate? It's a good book. You can read for those of you who are aspiring for Reserve Bank of India. You can read this. It will give you a glimpse that how RBI usually functions. It's a great read. You can do this. Okay. Let's move on to the next news. Life Insurance Corporation replaces State Bank of India as the most valuable PSU forms. ठीक है? And obviously it depends upon the market valuation. ठीक है? The market valuation of LIC is right now 5.6 lakh crore. Okay? And SBI is 5.59 lakh crore. Market cap, how do you calculate market cap? Everyone, I have told you this immense time. देखो रुपी depreciate होता है due to market forces, but when RBI can anticipate that rupee is depreciating or will probably depreciate, RBI will try to make sure that it doesn't decline in that manner. Yes, correct. Number of shares into market price. ठीक है, तो on the basis of this market capitalization, LIC has replaced State Bank of India as the most valuable PSU firm. Next is Zeta Farms. Okay, so Zeta Farms is a company that is involved in sustainable farming or climate smart agriculture and those things, micro irrigation and other solutions. So what this Zeta Farms is doing, it is launching a 2000 crore fund, also known as Indigo Capital, where this whole money will be utilized for social impact, or you can say putting money into sustainable agriculture products in India that will not only lead to profit but also lead to making sure that environment sustainability happens. तो फिर वो social impact भी आ जाता है, ठीक है? So it's just a business kind of news. Just remember Zeta Farms, Indigo Capital, 2,200 crore fund for social impact. Next, NPCI and Google Pay, they have signed an agreement for global expansion of UPI. So NPCI is saying to Google Pay that utilize this UPI infrastructure and try to build similar infrastructure for every other country's payment interface so that this UPI can expand globally. And just like how in the previous days we understood that Singapore has now made UPI and its payment system interoperable. So now that PhonePe users in Singapore can also send remittances denominated in Singapore currency into India directly from their own phone over there. Okay, and just because of this interoperability. So NPCI is signing an agreement with Google Pay कि आप बनाओ ऐसा interface that can become interoperable with UPI. So this will help not only in terms of internationalization of UPI, but it will also help in internationalization of Indian rupee also. Okay? Because every other country, there are a lot of NRIs and there are a lot of diaspora of Indians that are located in different countries. They can send the huge amount of remittances directly without any middlemen in between. So this is what the agreement is all about. Next, Prime Minister inaugurates 3 infrastructure projects worth 4,000 crore in Kochi. Okay, so these projects include new dry dock at Cochin Shipyard, International Ship Repair Facility, and LPG import terminal of IOCL at Kochi. Okay? Just a one-liner news. Just remember these 3 portals. Next, India to grow 7% in financial year 25. That means the next financial year, as per RBI Governor. So in his latest, speech in CII at Davos, okay, RBI gave us an indication with respect to financial year 25 that India will be growing 7%. So such type of news is not likely that much important because we only want, the growth metric not from any particular person but from an institution. Agar RBI through some publication would have released this, that would have been important for us to cram at least. Okay, but this just take it as an indication that what exactly the Monetary Policy Committee and what exactly RBI is thinking in terms of growth in the upcoming financial year. So this will give you a just idea regarding that. Next, government approves rupees 5,607 crore to set up 2 power plants. Okay. So the approval has been accorded for Southeastern Coalfield for setting up 660 megawatt power plant. Okay. And second project is Mahanadi Coalfield for setting up a 1600 megawatt thermal power plant. So as you can see, apart from renewable energy, the conventional energy matrix is still playing a huge role in India's energy matrix. Next news is about horticulture production. The horticulture production in financial year 23 seen marginally higher. Okay? The horticulture, which includes fruits and vegetables, was 2.32% higher in financial year 22-23 as compared to the previous one. And this is 355.3 million tons. And since it's an annual news, okay, or it's an annual data, it's very important for you to cram, especially if you're focusing upon NABARD examination. Okay? Next, coaching in centers cannot enroll students below 16 years. So as all of you know, there is a lot more scrutiny that is happening on coaching institution because of misleading advertisement. Okay, so the government has came up with the official regulation with respect to coaching centers that they cannot enroll students below 16 years for any type of coaching. And there are other rules and regulations also that no coaching center shall engage tutors having qualification less than graduation. Okay? They cannot make misleading promises. Okay? Or the coaching centers cannot hire the services of any tutor or person who has been convicted of any offense involving moral turpitude. That means dishonesty. But if we are saying this is convicted, that means if any court has convicted that person of moral turpitude. And an institute will not be registered unless it has a counseling system as per requirement of these guidelines. So these are various regulations that have been put in place to make sure that coaching institutes function ethically. Okay? Next, record 141,000 firms incorporated in financial year 24 so far. So you can imagine how startup frenzy is right now happening in India. Okay? A lot of firms are being registered in financial year 24 and even the financial year is still not ended. Okay? So you can see how number of firms have been incorporated so far. So more than 44,000 limited liability partnership LLPs have also been registered. So this LLP refers to a general partnership where every partner's liability towards the debt are limited in nature. Normal partnership अगर आप करोगे, okay, so there will be full liability. अगर कोई company ने loan लिया है या आपकी partnership ने loan लिया, that will be directly be there on the owners. ठीक है? But then there is private limited, ठीक है? Where the owners and the board both are different and liability is very less. ठीक है? और इधर liability full है in partnership. So the government came up with this instrument of limited liability partnership, something in between that involve less compliances, because this private limited, you need to have lot more compliances, lot more registration fees, lot more, paid up capital. और इधर जाओगे तो लाइबिलिटी बहुत है कि अगर कंपनी के पास कंपनी ने कोई लोन लिया है, अगर कंपनी दिवालिया हो गई तो दैट these partners will be responsible for paying the debt. Okay, so this limited liability partnership, as an agency came where you can register yourself as limited liability partnership, which have some of the benefits of both of these aspects. Okay, but understand that how many firms are getting registered in 2024, and this data is released by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay. Next, so Union government has formed a 5-member panel to make sure that there is equitable distribution of benefits to the most backward communities among scheduled castes. Okay, so subcategorization in what manner should be done is to be decided by this panel, which will be headed by Cabinet Secretary. So does anyone know who is the current Cabinet Secretary of India? चलो अब देख लेना. Let's move on to the next news. Foxconn and HCL announced a joint venture to set up semiconductor outsource assembly and testing unit. Okay. So this will be an investment of $37.2 million. Next, Mike's breaks ground for cold storage facility in Gujarat. Okay, so it's a global integrated logistics company. It is installing a 113 crore cold storage facility at Mehsana in North Gujarat. Okay, and it is exclusively built for Hyphen Foods. So cold storage, I hope every one of you knows how much important it is with respect to India's food processing as well as the whole agriculture sector in specific, because there is a huge percentage of waste that happens in agriculture every year. Can you give me a rough idea that how much percentage of food get wasted every year? Yes, Rajiv Gauba. Yes, correct. Not 20, almost close to 40%. Okay, so next news, London Stock Exchange Group launches tech center in Hyderabad. Okay, so it is a part of their global expansion efforts, and it is built in partnership with Tata Consulting Services in Build, Operate, Transfer partnership. Next, Wings India 2024. It's the largest civil aviation exhibition in Asia we're talking about. Okay, it commenced at Begumpet Airport in Hyderabad. Okay, so throughout this Wings India civil aviation, our aviation minister also provided various awards for various airports. So this is also important because it's a very big aviation exhibition. So Bengaluru and Delhi international airports have jointly been awarded with the title of Best Airport of the Year. Okay. Bangalore International Airport also secured the title in the more than 25 traffic category. Hyderabad Airport emerged victorious in 10 to 25 million passengers category. Goa's Dabolim Airport in 5 to 10 million. Mangaluru in 5 million, and Mumbai and Delhi airports distinguished themselves as innovation and sustainability champions respectively. That means Mumbai for innovation, Delhi for sustainability champions. ठीक है, इसको याद कर लेना, बेंगलुरु, दिल्ली, मुंबई, दिल्ली. Then Vistara Airlines, okay, secured the prestigious title of Best Airline of the Year. Then we have Air India. It attained the top honors for international connectivity, while Indigo emerged as for domestic category. Alliance Air for regional connectivity. Okay, while the Innovation Champion Award has been bestowed upon Vistara and Air India Express for sustainability. And Lifetime Achievement Award for Iconic Women in Aviation, Tulsi N. Mirchandani. She is an MD of Blue Dart. And this year, UP government won the award as State Champion in Aviation. And lastly, Akasa Air signs MOU with Noida International Airport and becomes second airline to start operation from Noida International Airport after Indigo. The Noida International Airport is located at where? Which location? Located at Jewar. Okay? Let's see other news. SpaceX will launch first all European commercial crew to Space Lab. Okay? Or International Space Station. And the mission name is AX-3 mission. Next, Japan inks deal to buy 400 long-range missiles from US. Okay. Tomahawk missiles. And this is Japan is doing because of North Korea's hostility. Either North Korea एक आध मिसाइल दागता रहता है, ठीक है? तो Japan is like, although I am a peaceful country, but I need to be prepared for this. Next, we have doctors asked to state reason while advising antimicrobials. So, as all of you who have been continuous with respect to these current affairs session, you know, this news related to antimicrobial resistance or antibiotic resistance, this news has been coming again and again. Okay, so that tells you that how much government is focusing upon this antibiotic resistance as an issue in terms of science and technology. Because right now this more regulation is coming that even doctors, while prescribing these antibiotics, also have to state the reason that why are they prescribing this medicine. Okay, and because everybody in the government recognizes that how much big of issue this antimicrobial resistance are. And in one line, if you want to understand what it is, that if a person develops this antimicrobial resistance, that even the diseases, you know, such as cold and other diseases that can be easily treated by a basic level antibiotics, but because if a person has this antimicrobial resistance, different type of antibiotics will not be able to resolve them or cure their disease because they have developed resistance with respect to antibiotics. The most important case being TB. Okay? Next, this Vertex CRISPR, okay, it's the second FDA approval for gene therapy. Okay, so CRISPR, I hope all of you know, it's a gene editing tool. Via CRISPR, ठीक है, DNA में आपको पता है strands होते हैं. Via CRISPR, you can, cut these strands and try to put other, whatever different type of strands you want to take or you want to edit. You can edit the gene and try to cure the diseases such as rare diseases like thalassemia and others. Okay? So one such breakthrough is Vertex, that is a gene editing therapy for blood disorder thalassemia. Okay? Next, MOU and business agreements. Apple inaugurate new office in Bangalore. Nothing to explain. So Godi India Private Limited will set up a 8,000 crore cell manufacturing unit in Telangana. Okay. Next, Karnataka signs MOU with Microsoft for digital skilling initiative targeting the underserved youth in India. Okay, so the program is Microsoft Rise. So these are the aspects that you need to remember. Microsoft Rise program name, what is the target, with which company, with which state has done what type of agreement. Next, Adani Group signs MOU with Maharashtra to invest 50,000 crore in data centers. Okay, so they will be developing over the 10 years 1 gigawatt capacity of hyperscale data center infrastructure. And this is essential because as we are moving towards AI, age, because the next 10 years will be an AI age, just like how IT age was there. So AI, as all of you know, how much data driven AI is, because through data, AI tries to improve itself and thereby producing more data. So data infrastructure anyways is important, especially if we are focusing upon data localization as a concept. ठीक है, अगर घर में data centers होंगे so we'll be able to much more protect our data and privacy of customers as well as the data generated by various Indian companies. And obviously when we develop this, it will provide employment to 20,000 people directly or indirectly. Next, SoftBank, a VC firm, ठीक है, it fully exits from Policy Bazaar, fetching $650 million in returns. ठीक है, तो SoftBank was one of the primary shareholder of Policy Bazaar. They exited, and you know, when we say exited, that means they have sold all of their shares worth of $650 million. Next, Akasa Airlines has signed an agreement of $20 billion to buy 150 Boeing Max. ठीक है. Next, India's ONGC Videsh Limited gets 420 million loan from DBS Bank, Bank of Baroda. Okay, it's a loan for 5 years because the cash is not available with ONGC Videsh. Next, Airbus signs agreement with Tata and Mahindra for aircraft components. And it's a good sign because the aircraft, at least the vendors are getting developed in India. So naturally, धीरे-धीरे vendor develop होंगे, and in some time in future, the big companies like Boeing as well as Airbus, they can think of, you know, establishing a manufacturing plant in India in future, because until unless these ancillary industries are developed, the original equipment manufacturers are not able to, you know, complete all of their tasks. Next, Apple overtakes Samsung as top smartphone seller. Okay. Apple has 20% share in the market in 2023. Next, Tata Group, only Indian brand in top 100. Okay, so this Global 500 2024 list of the top brands in India or top brands in the whole world, Tata Group is the only Indian brand in top 100. So it right now is standing at 64th position. So this is a part of Brand Finance Global 500 list released at Davos. Okay? And there are 14 Indian companies, amongst which LIC and SBI have seen their brand value fall. Rest all have seen their brand value increased. And these are the rankings of other Indian companies. Infosys at 145, LIC 222, HDFC Bank 228, Reliance Group 261. But just only remember this Tata Group being in top 100. ये इतना याद कर लो, that is more than sufficient. ठीक है? Next, Tata Consultancy Services, second most valuable IT services brand in the world. ठीक है? Accenture at the top. ठीक है? Accenture's brand value $40.5 billion. After Accenture, TCS is there. And I'm telling you, such type of news becomes a good fodder for examiner to make questions upon. So these award categories, which are especially most, you know, recognizable for India, you need to cram these things. Okay, TCS maintained its second rank and saw its brand value grow by $2 billion to $19.2 billion. Infosys at third position. Okay, Wipro at 9th and HCL Tech at 8th. Next, Jio remains India's strongest brand for 2024. Okay, and this is released by Brand Strength Index. And globally, if we look, it is 17th position. Okay. Next, appointments. RBI clears appointment of whole-time director of Bandhan Bank, Rajinder Kumar Babbar. He is now the executive director of the bank for a period of 3 years. Next, Sheryl Sandberg, who turned Meta into a digital ad empire. So Cheryl has exited board after 12 years. He previously served as COO of Facebook and then Meta, and he has exited from the board. Last news. So R. Pragnananda has replaced Anand as India's number one chess master in terms of live chess rankings. Okay? And it only happened when he defeated Vijay Anzi in 4th round of Tata Steel Masters Chess Tournament. Okay? It's a dynamic ranking. If there is any tournament in which there is any winning by Indian players, we will be looking at that point of time. Okay? But this is all from my end for today. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session. No question? So thank you guys for joining. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, keep on revising. And this will be uploaded on the course itself. Okay? So thank you.